Well, and we said this before, we did see Jim Davis lose to Mono Red, but if I had to play a control deck against Mono Red, I certainly wouldn't want my control deck to be Esper Dragons. I would much prefer it to be Blue White, and that's what Bernat's bringing.
Got a lot of untapped lands.
We have untapped, we're not first of all, we have 11 basic lands. Love that. We have 4 Radiant Fountains, 4 Tranquil Coves. Big fan of that. Then you look at the kind of cards he has here. 4 copies of Last Breath, 4 copies of End Hostilities, 2 copies of Swift Reckoning. So he's got great cheap removal. And then for finishers, we have 3 Elspeth Suns Champion. I'm a pretty big fan. He has 4 Ojutai's commands. A lot of life gain, no pain off his lands, good finisher, good early removal. This should, on paper, be a good matchup for Bernat.
Blue-white control, wearing a blue-white jersey.
So, yeah, and it's right. I mean, Bernat, this is a signature, basically wears Colts jerseys to every Magic tournament.
I was actually hoping you realized that because, yeah, he wears a Colts jersey to every single tournament. I don't know if he's made the switch to Andrew Luck or not. He's a huge Peyton Manning fan. He's a big Indianapolis Colts fan.
Yeah.
And he's actually a big blue-white control fan, too. He's been playing blue-white control
a lot. The thing is that originally I thought he was from Indy just because, he's always in that Colts jersey, but I think he's actually a Chicagoland player.
I know he lives in Chicago.
Okay,
he went to Purdue, just like me.
Same year?
Yeah, so that is so we have that kind of connection. And I mean, I saw him at all the Chicago PTQs, Indianapolis PTQs. I think he's originally from Indy and then lives in Chicago for work. And that's a typical thing for Midwestern people who are from Indy is they make the move to Chicago.
Sure.
But he's always wearing Colts gear. Always, always, always. So I'm sure he was none too happy about that beatdown they took last weekend at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. That one's for you, Bills fans. Tranquil Cove is where we're going to start. Bernat on 5 cards here. Not a great place to start against Mono Red.
No, he can come back from this. Cards like Jace and Ojutai's command could buy him card advantage. The big question is whether or not his draw is functional. Does it have lands and spells? Is he going to... Right now, it looks like the answer is yes.
Wild Slash going to go upstairs. I was going to say Wild Slash doesn't get much better than that, but Wild Slash can kill a Jace in the matchup, so it can't actually be better than just a 2-point burn spell. Now, for Dolenak, his start is not great at all. No creature on turn 1 or 2.
I mean, and look at this. Michael just got card advantage there. His land traded with Richard's Wild Slash. That is a 2-for-1, as odd as that sounds. This, despite being on 5 on the play, Bernat feels like a favorite at the moment.
Dolenak with, all right.
Scab Clan Berserker. Michael will have none of that.
Yeah, that's going to get dissolved.
Now, how many of those does he have in the main today?
He's playing 2 of those in the main deck. Typically, we see that in the sideboard of a Mono Red. It is relatively good in this matchup if he's able to connect, but we oftentimes see that in the sideboard.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly would board it in the matchup, so the fact that Dolenak has them in the main is going to only help him.
Does Bernat have land number 4? Yes, he does in Flooded Strands.
We get closer to Elspeth. I don't think he has one, but remember, Bernat is just parrying and gaining life, and then is going to drop Elspeth. His game plan's very simple. That's his only way to win. It's the only one he needs.
There's a Swift Spear. Bernat's going to sacrifice Flooded Strand, go down to 20. He might have a card like Ojutai's command here.
Oh, that would be huge. We see him, that'd be another 2-for-1.
Yep.
And at that point, he's almost on parity card-wise with the Mono Red deck while staying at 20. I mean, he's a strong favorite if that from there. We'll see if he has the command.
Yeah, he does. It's a great start.
Ojutai's command, able to counter draw against creature spells. We'll see if he chooses counter draw or counter gain 4. I think he's at so much life that it's going to be counter draw.
I like counter draw here instead of counter gain 4 because even though gaining 4 is kind of like drawing a card in this situation, like he's on a mulligan to 5, so he just wants as many cards as possible.
Now, good move from Dolenak there to lead on Swift Spear and then follow up with Eidolon. If Michael had his choice, my guess is he would have countered the Eidolon. So Dolenak got the correct creature to resolve. But Bernat is at 20 and he's so close to Elspeth already. Granted, I don't know if one's in his hand yet, but the plan is to just make land drops.
Make land drops, counter spells, gain life. Here's Abbott. And that'll trigger the Eidolon here for Dolenak. We'll see if this resolves.
Maybe fine. If Bernat is a sweeper, this is another 2-for-1.
There's a Lightning Berserker.
How much? Dolenak should be fine taking as much damage as he needs to off Eidolon here.
He's going to cast Lightning Berserker. That'll trigger Eidolon again. And Bernat's going to sacrifice Flooded Strand, and he does have a copy of Dig Through Time in hand, so in a weird way.
I mean, if he can end step Dig here, which I believe he can, he has 4 copies of End Hostilities in his list. I would expect the play will be to untap and end hostilities or untap an Elspeth.
It doesn't even feel like he mulliganed at all.
No. I mean, when your opponent's throwing Wild Slashes at you and you're the guy playing Radiant Fountains, I mean, life's good.
Yeah.
Said Blue-White historically very good against Mono-Red.
And here's dig through time. So Bernat will, this is the first time I've said this all weekend, take a look at the top 7 and take 2 with them. We have not seen very many dig through times this weekend.
No, it's been a lot of red and obs on. You see End Hostilities shuffled up to the front. That's the card he would want. Making it look easy. Might even be able to win, never dropping into single digits.
Yeah, he might win this game comfortably even though he mulliganed to 5.
Well, I mean, and then that's a function of the fact his opponent's playing a high synergy deck like Mono Red. Card advantage matters less when the card quality is so low. One card like Elspeth is worth 7 of Richard's cards.
There's the Plains for Bernat. And Hostility is going to clear everything away. Eidolon doesn't trigger, of course, because it costs more than 3.
Yeah,
Bernat,
comfortable.
Yeah, Bernat sitting cozy at 17.
Everything here is just going wrong for Richard.
And no play either.
No, I think he's on all burn spells. I don't know if Bernat has the finisher. Oh, and he does.
Well, you wanted Elspeth, you got it.
This was the game plan.
Yeah.
Play lands, play Elspeth, don't die. Bernat's comfortably accomplished all 3 things. Mono Red is, to understand it, very poor, very weak at getting Elspeth off the board. Usually costs them 2 to 3 cards.
And if they're dealing all that damage to Elspeth, it's not going to you, and you're thrilled with that. Let's see where Dolenak starts. It'll be a Searing Blood, and he's going to redirect. But again, this is exactly what I think Bernat wants to have happen.
Right. 2 burn spells took care of Elspeth, and Bernat still has creatures left over.
Bernat's hand is quite good. He's got a Dissolve, and I believe a Dig Through Time over there.
Yeah, I mean, Dig will find another Elspeth. Dissolve counters one thing. Every time Michael draws a land, he can use it. Richard, you see, drew Mountain for the turn. This one's looking easy.
Bernat with a Tranquil Cove, that can push him up to 18. Not like he needs any more life. Looks like he might just attack with 1.
Yeah, wants to dodge Lightning Berserker. He's already seen 1 copy of the card. Not really under pressure either. It's not like he will lose this top deck war. As the game continues to go, Michael will just get more and more ahead. So he can take a very leisurely pace to close this out.
Yep. Dolenak will just pass the turn back. So, Bernat is going to dig. There will be a response. Searing Blood will take care of a token. Bernat will take 3. What's next? Lightning Strike's going to go upstairs. Bernat will take 3 more, go down to 12. But again, he's sitting so comfortable right now.
I mean, this is the line that Richard wants to take. While Bernat's tapped out, resolve all the burn he can. It is unlikely to work, but it is the correct way to play it. 4 copies of Dig Through Time in Bernat's list.
So Bernat again will take a look at the top 7, take 2 cards with them. Dig Through Time looking pretty easy here for Michael. Now it's time to untap all those lands. Take a draw step here.
Looks like he's picked up a copy of Ojutai's Command and maybe another Dig Through Time. Remember, Ojutai's Command can only counter creature spells, but by virtue of its gain 4 ability, it more or less counters non-creature spells out of the red deck too. It feels a lot like Dismiss.
Yep.
It's going to counterspell and draw a card.
There's Abbott.
I don't think he'll let him have that one if he has the Ojutai's Command.
And I think you might be right. Yep.
We'll see if it's counter gain or counter draw. This time I think it's counter gain.
Yep. Back up to 16.
Certainly against a deck that's throwing burn at your face, that's a 2 for 1. Draws another Ojutai's Command. That is the play.
Yeah, this is looking hard.
This is awful if you're a Red fan.
This is looking really hard.
Richard passes. On step Michael just pays 8 for Dig Through Time.
And he's tapped out. Do your worst. There's not really anything too bad he can do.
And what a show of confidence. He had cards to delve there. He even had counterspells in hand. Chooses to do none of that and just tap out for it. You'd say, I mean, it's technically correct because it leaves more cards in his graveyard for future digs, but he only has one more dig through time in his deck. This is the third one he's resolved.
Yep. Well, we're heading back Bernat's way.
Yeah. So eventually he'd like to play Elspeth with Dissolve backup.
That's the dream.
Well, he's pretty close to it. He's got 8 lands in play. He would need 9 lands to make the play, and I guess he would need an Elspeth.
Yeah, I mean, he can also go this right here with Jace. At this point, you know, Bernat has so many cards, which resolve so many dig through times. The card quality is so high in his hand that he actually gets to kind of dictate how this game's going to go now.
You look at him not attacking with the Soldier token. He has a copy of Last Breath in hand. Now, one of the tricks, which won't come up this game, but can come up sometimes, is that Last Breath can be used on your own creatures as a life gain spell, just in case things get too close against red.
There's Elspeth.
There she is. Because he's so far ahead, I believe he will wait until he has 9 mana and the Dissolve before deploying her.
Well, if you've ever seen Bernat play blue-white control before, and I know most of the people watching at home probably haven't, we can kind of extrapolate a little bit from the not attacking with the Soldier token when he could be. He's very patient with blue-white.
Yeah, he's winning through you know, he has this eventuality set up. Is under no pressure to end the game.
He's not going to rush at all. You know, he could have fought over that Wild Slash maybe. Not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I have a Jace. I'll discard a Jace. Don't need that. I have Elspeth. I can win with that.
Discarding. He was still resolving that loot trigger off the Jace while he's discarding.
Now he's going to attack because he can deploy Elspeth. So now 3 soldiers will join. Has Last Breath at the ready.
And as this isn't the last Elspeth in his deck, it's possible he also doesn't need to protect this one with a Dissolve. It's unlikely that Richard can even get it off the board.
Yeah, Richard has very few cards left in hand.
Right. It would take Richard's whole hand to do it if he had 2 burn spells.
Here's Monastery Swiftspear. This one isn't going to do all that much. Coming into the red zone. A triple block. Daring Dolenak to have a spell. Well, and if he does...
Yeah, if he has a burn spell, he actually gets to survive through this. If he burns a Soldier token.
Well, what would happen... If he has a burn spell, like Stoke the Flames or something, like Bernat has Last Breath ready.
Right.
So this is just forcing him into a trap, that's all.
Yeah, and to that level, Bernat doesn't actually even need to Last Breath of Swiftspear. He could just let the trade happen, say, okay, and then make 3 more creatures with Elspeth the next turn.
There's no positive there for Dolenak in that exchange.
Yeah, this should get a concession in a couple turns here. Or Elspeth will just make an emblem and end it that way.
Maybe attack here for 3.
One of the stronger mulls to 5 we've seen.
Well,
This was never close at any point.
I was going to say, there hasn't been anything particularly close about this game. This has been horribly one-sided.
Abbott, Ojatai's command again.
Yep. Counter, gain 4. Now we're back at our starting life
total. We're back to 20. That's good. All right.
Going to untap with all these Soldier tokens. Elspeth will move up to 7 soon enough. And it looks like Dolenak will get 1 more draw step this game. But this was a very, very impressive game win here for Michael Bernat on a mulligan to 5. Again, at no point did it look like he was even in any danger of losing this game. And as he plays a Temple of Enlightenment and scries the top card to the bottom, there's no shot that he loses this game.
The lowest he ever got on life was 12. And that was only momentarily.
Michael Bernat does win game number 1 here over Richard Dolenak. Blue-white control up a game over mono red aggro, which means we're going to turn our attention to the sideboard. And we'll take a look at Dolenak's sideboard of 4 Roast, 3 Outpost Siege, 2 Smash Smithereens, 2 Scab Clan Berserkers to go along with his 2 in the main deck, 2 Magma Sprays, and 2 Goblin Heel Cutters. So he's got some options here.
Yeah, so Scab Clan Berserker, I think he'll want the full set of those after sideboard. Outpost Siege is good. Blue-white control does not have a huge number of ways to remove an enchantment from the board. So he'll want some of those higher impact cards. That's what he'll go to, I believe, those 4 cards. I don't see too much else. You know, there aren't creatures in Bernat's list, so Roasts, Magma Sprays, those are pretty weak. On Bernat's side, he's got great options out of sideboard too. He has the full play set of Erishan Clerics that'll play very nicely with his Ojatai's commands to further his life gain plan. Also has 2 copies of Negate. Those are very strong against mono red. Imagine he'll bring those in as well.
Well, those are the options there for both players. They'll sideboard and shuffle up here for game number 2. the meantime, we'll talk about our Season 3 Invitational champion here on the Open Series. That is Alex Bistecki. And he got the job done over Stephen Mann in the finals when we went to New Jersey, and that's why he's got this fantastic token now. It is a germ token for batter skulls and bone hordes and flare husk and whatever other living weapons you'd like to cast. Brian Braun had the original. Alex Bistecki's got the new one. He's the new hotness, and he certainly did earn it at that Season 3 Invitational. Now, there are a couple of ways to go about getting this token. We give it away to all Open Series players who sign up for our main event, all Premier IQ players. We've got 2 Premier IQs running right now, 1 Legacy and 1 Modern, so you can find that on Sunday of the Open Series. And then all orders from StarCityGames.com beginning October 2nd at noon Eastern Time. A $5 minimum order. You can do that on the website. You can also do it in person here at our Open Series events. Get yourself the Alex Bistecki token and get used to seeing that face, because we're going to see him at the Players' Championship later this year.
Yeah, very impressive reverse sweep over Stephen Mann, who you'd mentioned. Winning the Season 3 Invitational with Grixis Delver. It was the deck of the tournament, and for a while it looked like Steven might be able to sweep through the top 8. He had Sultai Delver and was winning that mirror match left and right, but Grixis took it in the end in the hands of Alex Bistecki.
Congratulations to our Season 3 Invitational champion. Congratulations on his token, and you know what, congratulations on winning $10,000 too, because that's never a bad thing as we get ready now for game number 2 here between Michael Bernat and Richard Dolenak. Bernat on a mulligan of 5, making it look like he didn't mulligan at all in that first game. He is currently up 1, 10-2 is the record. And if he's able to win this round, he's in the driver's seat for a top 8.
Yeah, it's for sure 12-3 should be good for top 8.
Yeah.
12-3-1 should probably be good. Or 11-3-1.
I see some weird records here with so few players making day number 2, only 96.
Only 7 players were at 10-2 or better. So by winning here, Bernat would be one of the top 4 players with 2 rounds to go. That's when you start getting into double draw territory.
Blue-White Control, Bernat's weapon of choice, as you see. 6 copies of that into day number 2. As far as Mono Red and its representation is concerned, 12 copies of that into day number 2. So these are actually quite popular decks. If you group together all the Siege Rhino decks, there are 27 of those in day 2. Mono Red's in 2nd place, and then Blue-White Control is, oddly enough, in 3rd place. So very popular decks.
I will say it's kind of sad to see this format end and a deck like Blue-White Control just start to go onto the scene. This is, the more I watch it, the more I think, boy, this is my pace of play. I would love to sleeve this up for a few tournaments.
Well, some people are actually expecting this deck to see quite a bit of play moving forward. It did get some new additions and a new battle land.
Yeah, so there's advantages. You're going to lose Elspeth Sun's champion, and that's pretty big.
It's a big loss. But you do get a new Planeswalker in Gideon, if you want to play it, and you get an old Planeswalker in Narset that no one's playing.
No one's playing that. I mean, remember, there are no Dragon Lord Ojatais in Michael's list. That's a great Magic card.
Hey, you might have to build the deck maybe Shaheen style, a little bit more tap-outy.
Oh, then I'm less interested, man. I like it when you don't use the creatures column. The only creature in Michael's deck is Jace Vryn's Prodigy, who's an honorary Planeswalker.
You'll come around. You'll come around to tap out blue. How about this?
I'd rather just play lands.
You come around to tap out blue, and then Shaheen will come around to non-tap out blue.
That's not going to happen.
You guys can work together. Here's the Monastery of Swift Spirit. It's an attack for 3. Does Dolenak have a 2nd land? It looks like the answer is no. So Bernat will untap with a Temple of Enlightenment and take a draw step.
This is so dangerous against the blue-white deck. Remember, what blue-white does is has a lot of untapped lands and a lot of great interaction on 2. You can have things like Arishan Cleric, Last Breath, Swift Reckoning, Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Tons of things he can do here, so he can really punish a mana light start.
There's Swift Reckoning. Gonna take down Zurgo. We're gonna head back Dolenak's way. Let's see if he can find that 2nd land. He does. Now, is there anything for him to do with it is the question. Looks like he's going to start by attacking, and now he'll Lightning Strike to get a Prowess trigger. So in total, he'll deal 5 this turn. And now we go back Bernat's way.
Good play from Dolenak. He's putting on a fair amount of pressure here. Remember, the advantages of blue-white is it just takes no damage off its lands, and they all come into play untapped.
And you have some ways to gain some life, too. Arishan Cleric is here.
Sideboard card talked about 4 of these in the board for Michael Bernat.
Jeez. Bernat's very happy that Mono Red is popular this weekend, then.
When your opponent's lightning striking your face, cards like Arishan Cleric look really good.
All right, modern Premier IQ players, welcome to round 3. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
Here comes Swifty.
This is an interesting a bluff attack, but the odds that Michael won't block are so low. He actually would prefer this Arishan Cleric to be in the graveyard in a lot of ways because he does play 4 Ojutai's commands. Were to die in combat, it doesn't really matter.
Wild Slash will finish this off.
So ending up, yeah, that Arishan Cleric traded for 2 full cards.
Here's Abbott. Top card's Eidolon. That's just going to stay put, pass the turn back.
Yeah, Wild Slash, and then the damage off Lightning Strike were negated.
Flutter Strand the draw here for Michael.
Remember, if he just plays a land, he can ship the turn. He could, if he has Ojutai's command, he can put Arishan Cleric into play and gain 4 life and surprise block creature.
Looks like he might be going the Jace route now, though. Perhaps he has another Cleric, but he'll go with Jace Vryn's Prodigy. Now he'll pass the turn back over to Dolenak.
That gives a window for Richard to deal some real damage here. Jace not a great blocker. Richard's got 2 prowess creatures in play. With burn spells, he could set up a great turn.
There's Wild Slash. You'll get some prowess triggers. Here come beatdowns. So for 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, is there another burn spell? There is not. Here's Abbott, though. If you're going to play Abbott here, you may want to do that before combat, before you cast the Wild Slash. Say if Abbott flips Wild Slash here, Richard will have wished he had done it in the other order.
Now, it looks like Bernat does have a copy of Clash of Wills in hand. So I think he's considering clashing this. He also has End Hostilities in hand, so if he draws a land that enters the battlefield untapped, he can End Hostilities thing away.
Yeah.
So it's a real decision he made here for Michael.
If he doesn't Clash of Wills this, and he misses, it's very punishing. He's at 10. He'll lose, more or less.
Yeah.
The question is that what he has to decide is that if he misses the land drop, can he win regardless, even if he does clash? If the answer is he decides he's on land drop or bust, then he'll let this resolve. Otherwise, he'll counter it. Things look weak for him, but not so grim that I think he has to just go land or bust, which is why we're going to see him clash this. Yeah, not to mention, if Richard had played the Abbott pre-combat, then Clash of Wills would not have been an option. Though the Wild Slash might have gotten clashed. So,
yeah. So there's a little bit of trade-off there, yeah.
Unless Abbott were to flip a land, and then it's just all value.
There's Clash. So to Bernat we go, and he would have drawn the land. And that said, he still might just cast End Hostilities. It's still fine.
Right. So it does mean, yes, he did give away a free card. But remember, that's not the axis this game's being played on. It's about life points. Dolenak is running out of cards.
He's got 1 card left in hand.
Top card was a land that Abbott would have flipped him the land last turn.
They're Stoke the Flames. It's going to put Bernat down to 5. But now Bernat knows the situation. I'm at 5. My opponent has no cards in hand. They have to top deck to beat me. They have to top deck well. And with Bernat drawing a copy of Arishan Cleric this turn.
I think he has Arishan Cleric and maybe Dig Through Time as well. That's this 5 damage. I don't think it's going to happen from the red side.
No.
Michael can make it 8. Can dig through time into more Arishan Clerics, maybe even an Ojutai's command. That gains 7 now because there's an Arishan Cleric in the graveyard.
Yep.
So one of the aspects of design that I do like is a way to balance life gain and burn is that for the same mana cost, life gain will always gain more than burn will deal damage. You know, Stoke deals 4 for 4 mana. The 4 mana life gain spell will gain 6 or 7.
Dolenak draws a card with Bernat at 8. Exquisite Firecraft going to go upstairs. Bernat down to 4. Now the nice thing about this mono red aggro deck is that there are a lot of 4 damage burn spells.
But here's the cincher though. Bernat with Dig Through Time.
Bernat very quickly leaves a Arishan Cleric in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not going anywhere.
If he finds an Ojutai's command, I just don't see Dolenak winning.
No, me either. Plus 7 life's too much. And he's just found one.
Yeah, he's moved that one to the front end, and it looks like he's looking at Ojutai's command negate.
Yeah. There's also a Radiant Fountain in there too. So this could be a turn where he gains 9 life, goes up to 13. That's too much for red to overcome. Way too much.
Yeah, it looks like he's leaving the negate in favor of a Last Breath. So it's going to be Ojutai's command Last Breath.
Bernat will untap. And now it'll draw. Tranquil Cove brings him up to 5. See if he wants to attack with the Cleric or not. We saw him play very patiently with the Soldier token last game where he wasn't coming into the red zone. We might see him mimic that behavior this game. He's just going to pass the turn back. Dolenak will draw a card.
Michael just gets to wait. Yeah, we saw that as you mentioned, no attacks with Cleric. He's exerting very little thought into winning the game. So he's playing if he manages to not lose for long enough, then by virtue of that, he'll win.
Here's Ojutai's command. Get back the Cleric.
See what the other mode is. I suspect it's gain 4, get back Cleric.
Yep.
Though. That's a gain 7. That'll put him to 12.
That's a nice little turn.
Last breath is the draw.
Now he's attacking. Continues to play very conservative with his creatures because he's not in much of a rush. Doesn't want anything to go wrong. He doesn't mind giving Dolenak extra draw steps because the longer this game goes, the worse it is for Richard. And now here's another copy of Dig Through Time.
For every 4 damage burn spell Richard top decks, Bernat believes he can top deck a 6-point life gain. Be it in the form of a Dig Through Time, an Ojutai's command, or something similar to that. The second dig resolving should be enough to lock it out. The first dig was very strong and most likely won. The second one should lock the game out.
Bernat will untap and take a draw step here after resolving that dig. Radiant Fountain's going to bring him up to 14.
We find this Bernat goes down, he just gains his way back up to 20 eventually.
Might be Elspeth time now.
It's fine. He has Ojutai's command and Elspeth in hand. Both seem great.
Yeah, the only time we see Bernat attack with both creatures is when he's got an Elspeth to make 3 on defense.
And there is the Sun's champion. Big fan of this deck.
I feel like it's pretty well positioned for the weekend.
I mean, absolutely. This is a deck that was not one of the contenders going into the weekend. It put up the 3rd best. It is the 3rd most popular deck on day 2. Most popular deck outside of Obzon and Mono Red. Certainly would not be the deck any of us expected to have this good of a showing, and there's got to be a reason for it. When you look at this matchup, well, that tells part of the story. This matchup seems atrocious for the red deck.
It seems, I mean, the red's going to have an insane draw to beat this deck, and blue-white control's going to have to fall apart.
Yeah.
And blue-white control, in theory, fell apart game 1 by mulligan at 5, and Bernat won very easily.
Richard has kept 7s both times and has not seemed close to winning either of these games. For me, the card that's been really impressive, actually, is just Ojutai's command. That we have not seen too much of that card up until recently, but boy, in this matchup, does it do work against the red deck.
There's Ojutai's command. It's going to counter the Swift Spear.
Gain 4. 19. He's almost over the starting life total again.
You know, see, gaining life in this matchup is drawing cards. They're effectively the same thing. Pretty large attack from the Clerics and the Soldier tokens. Elspeth will take up to 7 here in just a moment. 3 more soldiers on the way.
A real clinic from Michael Bernat. How to not lose to burn spells.
That's going to do it. Michael Bernat does win this match here over Richard Dolenak. 2-0. Blue-White Control will take care of Mono Red aggro, and for Bernat, he moves on to 11-2. You know, just 1 win away from securing his berth in the top 8.
Top 8 looms. It might not even need a win. He may just be able to draw it out from here.
Well, we do come back to the booth here, and of course, Blue-White Control taking a long time.